and welcome to Quarter Time Podcast. I'm Lucy G.
And I'm Lucy P.
And we're here to bring you all the netball goodness you never knew you needed. Hello everyone, we are back with another special bonus episode in honour of the Roses Reunited Test Series. Oh, what a cracking series this was, Luce. What have we got coming up on today's show?
So on the show today, we've got our 3-word summaries of each test, and we'll be looking at each match in detail and highlighting our key elements of each match that played a role in deciding the outcome. We each have our standout matchups of the series, which are 2 players who we think made for a really exciting head-to-head. We also have a very special interview with Ellie Cardwell, where we digest the series and get to know more about her thoughts on the Roses squad. First up though, Luce, your overall thoughts from an England perspective on this series.
Yeah, I think it was a really exciting series, actually. If you look historically, prior to this series, England had only beaten Jamaica 3 times in the last 8 outings. There was one game in Manchester in 2016, which was another England-Jamaica series. There was, of course, that thrilling Commonwealth Games semi-final. Who could forget that? And the Netball World Cup in 2019, where we beat them then. So we don't necessarily have a great record against them. And the last time we played them, it was a 4-goal win to Jamaica in the Netball Nations Cup in 2020. Admittedly, we were missing a lot of key players. However, this series, we really just came out firing. Obviously, won the series, tested out a number of combinations. I think it was a really strong showing, and I think we learnt a lot about the current crop of Roses.
Yeah, for sure. And I think in terms of Commonwealth Games selection as well, we've seen that we've got a lot more options in attack, possibly fewer in defence, but we've obviously still got the quad series to go to see a few more players out there. I think it was a real confidence boost for England to come out so strongly against the world number 4s, especially by such a big margin in that second test. From a Jamaican point of view, though, they tried out combinations, didn't always work, but I think it was massively important that they won that 3rd test. They are such a confidence team, and knowing that this is likely to be their last outing together prior to the Commonwealth Games, that must be a bit troubling. They have the talent, it's just getting the units to gel and putting out their strongest 7.
Yeah, 100%. I think for Jamaica, you know, as a national side, that was probably their biggest takeaway from this entire series. So yeah, we'll see what they do at Commonwealth Games.
Yeah. So looking at the first match then, what were your thoughts on this one, Luce?
Yeah, well, my 3-word summary for this one, I've gone for second half scalp. It was really a game of 2 halves for me with this one. The first key takeaway for me from this test was about dusting off the cobwebs for both teams, actually. We had H3 back together, which is very exciting. The first time that we've had Harton and Housby back together since the 2019 World Cup. It was definitely a nervous start. It took a while for them to settle, and Housby was absolutely not at her best at all. She shot 5 from 9 at 56%, which is pretty wild for her, actually, in terms of her usual performance standard.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as well, Jamaica, there were a few loose balls from them. They obviously hadn't had as much preparation as England. So it took a bit of time and a bit of sussing each other out, especially in that first and second quarter.
Yeah, absolutely. The second key thing for me, second key takeaway was about the impact from the bench. I mean, wow, Ellie Cardwell into goal attacking that second quarter was a game changer. She brings so much to the court that differs so starkly from Housby that it's really noticeable. And she was great at defending Joe's shot from the super rangy arms of Sterling and Katie-Ann Dehaney. Like, they're just a menace on the shot. I loved the way that Harton and Cardwell were combining. You could see Harton really change the way that she started playing, actually, when Cardwell came on. She was much more comfortable sort of pulling out of the circle, and Cardwell was then able to drive in really nicely. It meant that the Roses were up by 6 by the end of the 3rd quarter, and they actually won that quarter 16-9.
Oh, wowza. And I think as well, it was also about the impact of Ebony Osiro-Brown coming off the bench. She was doing such a good job keeping Fowler really high, giving the attackers so many opportunities. She just kept turning over ball after ball. And she combined so well with Layla Gusgoth as well. That Team Bath connection is really hot.
Yeah, I have to say there's been a lot of doubters recently of Ebony, particularly with the news of her going to Firebirds. I think people were thinking maybe she's a bit past it. And I think absolutely not. Like, she really stakes her claim in this test series. So that will teach all of you Ebony doubters to think twice. The third thing for me with this test was physicality and penalties. It was a super physical game. Penalties were being handed out left, right, and centre like candy. It was like an episode of Oprah. You get a penalty and you get a penalty. Particularly for the Jamaican defence. I mean, wow.
Yeah, and we saw that warning for Latanya Wilson in the final quarter. I think just Jamaica got angry. They were frustrated. And I think as well, they were lacking in a bit of energy towards the end. And that's usually when these penalties and things start to creep in, is when you're a bit tired, you go for something that you probably shouldn't. But maybe from a Jamaican perspective, this is the effect of having so few international matches as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, all of that combined meant that England were able to cruise to a cushy 10-goal win after being down by 1 at half time. And I think Ellie Cardwell was a very deserved player of the match.
For sure. Moving on to test 2. So my 3-word summary for this one was, let's get clinical. This was such a strong performance from England. I was literally watching at home, proper like fist bumping in the air. It was so good. The first key takeaway was the fast start. So England burst out of the blocks. Before the game, Di said England's last 11 games, they've only won one first quarter, which was shocking. But in this game, they were up 9-2 after just 5 minutes. That was incredible.
Yeah, my jaw would just hit the floor when I was watching this game. I was just absolutely gooped. I think England totally took advantage of the hesitation shown by Jamaica. For me, it just really set the tone for the rest of the game. And I think it's crucial for England to have been able to come out so fast and so dominant when looking ahead to Com Games.
Yeah, definitely. My second key takeaway was a bit of musical bibs. We saw Giselle Allison in wing attack in this game, very unusual, and Latanya Wilson in centre. This was not the combo for me. I think Connie Francis agreed with that, and she subbed Allison off after 5 minutes. I think the question for Jamaica is, do they have their best players on court or players in their best positions? We see this in the mid-court, but also in their defence. So Sterling at goalkeeper in the second quarter, she's arguably the best goalkeeper in the world. I think you could make a very convincing case for that. Yeah. So do you put her in at goal defence so you can have Katie Ann Dehaney on the court as well, or back in goalkeeper? I think it's really, really tough for Connie Francis to be making those decisions. However, Wilson in centre just makes no sense to me, but she is a world-class GD wing D. So why not put her in there?
Yeah, I think we have to note as well, Jamaica were missing Jodie Ann Ward too, who, you know, we know is an absolute gun, had a cracking season in SSN last year. But there were just too many changes in this game. There was 2 in the first quarter. In the second quarter, we saw Allison and Beckford ended up swapping, and it just really unsettled them. They had absolutely no flow at all in attack.
Yeah, and that second quarter was actually 14-6 to England. I would love to know the last time Jamaica scored 6 goals in a quarter with Fowler under the post. Crazy.
That is super crazy stuff.
Moving on to my last key takeaway, it was the snowball effect. So in this game, once things started to go wrong, they just kept getting worse for Jamaica. Yeah. There were errors for days. It was super sloppy. Things like not setting the penalty, balls spilled over the baseline. They really, really didn't do themselves justice in this game.
Yeah, for sure. I have to say, penalty not set has got to be one of the worst rules in netball. Killer. Oh my God, it drives me nuts. But on the flip side of Jamaica's performance, England were the complete opposite. They were really able to ride that momentum. They kept capitalising on every single mistake that Jamaica made. And it was really good to see a couple of bench players come on as well and just get a big win, a significant win.
Yeah, defo.
I think before we move on to the third test, I think it's really important to acknowledge the comments by Connie Francis on the umpires as well for this game. I completely 100% agreed with everything that Tracy Neville said in the response to that interview. Obviously, there's going to be occasions where umpires make mistakes, but generally as a spectator, I thought it was actually a really well umpired game. If there were mistakes, I think they're in both directions. And it was disappointing for the head coach of a national side not to acknowledge her own team's poor performance ahead of any officiating. And I think that was it was a really interesting interview, shall we say.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll hear more about that in our interview with Ellie Cardwell coming up a little bit later on.
Yes, definitely. So moving on to the third and final test, my 3-word summary for this one is sunshine fight back. The first key takeaway for me is the mid-court question for both teams, actually. Jamaica this time started with the same 7 from the first test who were up by half time. So that mid-court combination of Khadija Williams wing attack, Adine Thomas centre and Latanya Wilson wing defence, I think is definitely their strongest combination from this series. But the problem for me, always with Jamaica, is that they don't necessarily have the top quality, reliable mid-courters that support their outstanding bookends. There's a real lack of consistency in that mid-court.
Yeah, I mean, Adine Thomas is rapid, and we've seen in the Super League what she can do. She had a really good game while she was on in this one with the feeds over to Fowler. She was just giving that ball from literally anywhere. The trouble is it can be inconsistent, like you say, and you really need that steady Eddie figure, especially in the centre position, and it's something Jamaica are really missing.
Yeah, 100%. But it wasn't all plain sailing in the mid-court for England in this test series. Obviously, this time we saw Malcolm starting in centre, which I would argue is not her strongest position. I think wing D is definitely her strongest. A real takeaway for me in this one was by having Malcolm in centre and then Guthrie in wing defence, but no Cobden or Clark on the bench, their absence was really, really noticeable. And I don't think that Malcolm in centre necessarily worked. So if you don't have Guthrie in centre and if you don't have Clark in your squad, who is that next centre option after Guthrie?
Yeah. Big question mark for me there too.
The second key takeaway for this test series was the England defence. I mean, Layla Guskov, geez, that woman is just unreal.
Yeah.
So good. But I don't think we saw many other options defensively from England. I think in terms of learnings from this test series for Com Game selection defensively, I think it's fair to say that Yusura Brown, Mentor and Guskov are dead certs, but really that final defender spot is pretty up for grabs. I think Stacey Francis-Bayman had an okay test series, but I don't think she packed as big a punch as maybe we're expecting her to, given that she trains with Fowlers day in, day out. And, Fran Williams did come on, but I don't think she matched up in terms of physicality or speed. So I don't think that 4th spot is claimed yet at all.
Yeah, I think we do need a moment of silence that we did not see Fumi Fudoju in this series. Due to an really unfortunate injury, we wish her all the best. Please get well soon, Fumi. We'll pay your doctor's bills. We'll do anything. She was exactly what we needed in this series. Just that spark, that energy, and that versatility as well. She's not the tallest defender, but she can cover all of those positions. I'm so gutted we didn't get to see her.
As president of the Fumi Fidonju fan club, heartbroken was an understatement. It was absolutely devastating. I think the beauty about Fidoju is that actually everyone agrees that she is exactly what we need. Whenever any of the other Roses got interviewed, we saw some interviews with Helen and Nat prior to the games, everyone keeps referencing Fidoju and how great she is. And Ellie will also mention it in the interview later on. Everyone keeps talking about her. So we're just absolutely dying to see her out on court, and fingers crossed, quad series, she'll be there.
For sure.
The last key takeaway for this test for me was about succession planning. It was great to see Amanda Pinckney come on and get her first cap for Jamaica, scoring an amazing long bomb, which was just so epic. That was great to see. But Beckford has been that starting goal attack for years with Fowler, and I really think that Jamaica need to start thinking about who is that next up-and-coming shooter, and they need to give a bit of exposure to their younger and uncapped or lesser capped players, because Fowler is not going to be around forever. I think England did a little bit of that. You know, we saw Sophie Drakeford-Lewis and Fisher get one run out each, but they have the benefit of the full-time Roses programme. So I think it's fair to say it's probably harder for the Sunshine Girls overall.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It is really, really tough for those girls. And I personally think that this game was a warning shot from Jamaica. I mean, after having not played internationally, to come out and beat England by 10, it just goes to show once they get those combinations sorted, they can really, really shine.
Definitely.
Next up, we look at our matchups of the series. So first, Lucy G, what did you have for this one?
This one was an absolute no-brainer for me. It was Fowler and Yusoro Brown. This matchup was just pure fire. Ebony was really piling on the pressure, but Fowler wasn't having any of it and was, trying to do everything she could to keep her side in the game. I think Ebony actually matches up so well against a tall shooter, even though she's not the tallest defender herself, because she's a real hassler. Like, she's very on the body. She's not one of those defenders who's going to come out on the fly and take intercepts left, right and centre, but she more often than not will win the psychological battle. And I think that, that's half the job done then. But saying that, Fowler still managed to shoot an outrageous 137 from 143 at 96% across the series, which is just outstanding. I think one other thing that made this matchup so interesting is how Fowler would react whenever Ebony got like a mini win, and you saw, that iconic fist bump, which is just great. But every time she did that, it just made Fowler more angry and more frustrated. And I really think that Ebony came out on top in this matchup.
Yeah, I loved watching these two go up against each other. It was so good. Overall, Fowler she wasn't getting the best service from her feeders. And I think that was credit to all the pressure that was being put on by England out the front. But like she always does, she managed to make something out of nothing on so many occasions. And she was still deadly. I can't believe those shooting stats. 96% across the series is redonkulous. But personally, I can't wait to see these two face off in the SSN this season. I think it's going to be a proper grudge match and it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, that's the best thing about Fowler, is that she absolutely does make something out of nothing so often. But the one thing that I'm not a huge fan of pretty much in any team that Fowler plays, because she is so dominant and so good, is this over-reliance on her. There's so much pressure on her to pull it out the bag and to do all of the shooting. Like, if we look at the shooting stats, Beckford only shot 16 goals out of 23 attempts at 70% across the entire series. Yikes. 16 goals in the entire series, and then only 2 additional goals from Giselle Allison and Amanda Pinckney. So that's 18 goals not from Fowler. Like, yeah, what can you say about that?
Yeah, I think the best way forward is just to have your goal attack sharing way more of that load.
Yeah, they need to be a threat for sure. What was your matchup of the series, Luce?
Okay, so I've gone for Nat Haythornthwaite against Latanya Wilson. I thought this was really, really juicy and great to watch. They are both two super smart players, both very skillful, experienced at that elite level, obviously playing in the VNSL and SSN. And I thought Haythornthwaite stood up to the physicality really well. She's improved so much in terms of that in recent years since being at the Swifts, and she holds herself so strongly and she's just really super tough. As we've said before, Wilson is not typically a wing D, but in this lineup, I feel it's definitely the best place for her. She just brings that extra height and arms over pressure, which works so well, and got a lot of wins for Jamaica.
Yeah, I love her work. I think she's great. But the thing for me is that she's so heavily penalised, and she attracted a lot of attention from the umpire. She had numerous cautions and warnings. I think she had a caution in game 1 in the third quarter, and then a warning in the fourth. She had a caution in the third game in quarter 3, and a warning in the same quarter as well. Like, there was just way too much whistle. She's too costly at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. And it just really lets that pressure off as well. But overall, I thought these two were really evenly matched, and I would give Haythornthwaite the edge, credit to all her experience and just that ability to keep a cool head in stressful situations like international test matches. But overall, a really, really great contest. Love watching these two.
Yeah, great pick.
Coming up next, we chat to Ellie Cardwell about her incredible performance in this test series and gain her insight into how the Roses are feeling after this 2-1 series victory.
I am absolutely thrilled to welcome the wonderful Ellie Cardwell onto the pod. How are you doing, Ellie?
Hi, I'm great, thanks. Doing good.
Awesome. Well, you must be riding high after a terrific test series. Congratulations. You must be absolutely buzzing.
Yeah, super, super happy. We trained so hard for that, and yeah, we just came out of the win, and yeah, the team was on top form all month, so yeah, it was great to get the win.
Oh, and you guys must be shattered as well. It's, such an intense environment, and then 2 games, one straight after the other. Yeah, you must be knackered.
Yeah, we were together for a while. I think it was, I can't remember. It's 3 weeks, 3 and a bit weeks we were together, because we had a 4-day camp beforehand, before the tour even started, and then got into the actual tour. So we had a build up of over a week for the first game, and then obviously we had the week gap in between the other games. So yeah, tired is an understatement, but it's all worth it in the end. Definitely.
Oh, bless. Well, you guys certainly put on a show, and it was so incredible to watch international netball back on our screens, back on our courts. So diving straight in, obviously one of the targets within the Roses camp would have been to win the series, of course. But were there any specific targets or work on areas that you or the team more generally were assigned by Jess and the coaching team prior to the series?
I think really, because we obviously had the girls coming back from Australia, a huge target for us was to just get them involved again and just ease them into the team. That was a big one for us. They obviously haven't been involved in an England setup since the World Cup, well, some of them anyway. So that was really, really important for us, and to just build the connections on and off the court, that was huge. And obviously to continue the form that would come in from New Zealand. Obviously coming off that win, we also wanted to back it up. Jess is always saying the wins after the wins, like, yes, you can win a game, but can you back it up the next day? So that was another massive target. And obviously always you're trying to build from past performances, so trying to get rid of any silly errors that we do, and just build from there, really. So there's always lots and lots of targets thrown everywhere, but yeah, I think they're the main ones.
And did you set yourself any targets personally for the series?
I had one main one, that was to be kinder to myself. I'm my biggest critic, so for me personally, that was my biggest one. And yeah, I did it a bit better this tour, though. Definitely.
Oh, well, that's really good to hear, because I think it often goes unsaid, the pressures of elite netball and everything that's kind of involved with that, like physically, psychologically, emotionally. So the fact that you've got that level of self-awareness to know that you need to be kind yourself is actually really, really important. So I think that shows a great maturity in you as a player.
Yeah, definitely. I think, as you say, it goes unnoticed. Say a lot of the fans will just see the performance on the day, but there is a massive build up before that. And obviously there's training in an intense environment day in, day out. You're trying to be your best self all the time. So you have, at the end of the day, you've got to be kinder to yourself, because us athletes, we've got this far somehow. So we put in all the hard work, and we deserve to be there. So yeah, you just need to remember that, and just be kind, and just don't be negative all the time. Be a bit positive.
Yeah, be a little ray of sunshine. I love that. Yeah. And you've mentioned the girls who came over from Oz. Of course, one of the best things about the test series was that we could see all of the Roses back together again, apart from Jiva Mentor and Chelsea Pittman, and seeing some of the fan favourites like, Helen Housby, Jo Harton back into the fold. In theory, it's amazing to have these combinations back together again, but in practice, it must be quite hard in training to have to adapt to the new and different ways of working. So how do you guys adjust to having players in and out of the camp, and like merging the different styles that you each have individually with relatively limited time together?
I think it helps, obviously. Well, for me individually, I've played with all these guys a few years ago, before the World Cup and stuff. So that it's all right for me, but I guess it is hard to adapt first of all, and it's just remembering that the connections aren't going to build straight away. They're not going to be up there straight away. So it is just building up each training session and making yourself go into the combinations with everyone who's been away. And it's not only on the court, it's connecting off the court, because not only is it we've not seen them in a while, us trying to get the connections, it's they are probably feeling not intimidated, nothing like that, but like they've not been around this environment for a while, and it's very different to the settings that they would have been in Australia. So I think you can't be naive in that way that it's only a one way. It's definitely a two-way thing. It's you just got to go with it, and it just builds over time. Like we had quite a long time together this series, so it was all good by the time it got to the games. But yeah, we always have people in and out, because obviously we have different pathways. So we do get used to it, and we're all great friends. So it's not hard for people to slip in and out. Like it's easy peasy. It's not like there's any huge divas in the group or anything like that. Everyone is just so easy to be around. So yeah, easy.
Oh, that's really great to hear. And I think, the kind of culture that the Roses have is something that we actually remarked on in the episode we did after the New Zealand Test series, is that the kind of togetherness and the resilience and the strength that you guys showed as a unit was really, really impressive. I think there's also other things, particularly for Helen and Joe, for example, coming back and, they haven't seen their families for however many years, and that brings up a lot of emotions as well when they come back. So I guess it just must be quite tough to have to balance all of that and then put your best self out on court as an athlete as well. Certainly don't envy them.
No, definitely. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. Like they've got, like, it's not just the netball, there is everything around it. So Jo, like, she's got her own setup in Australia now, like she's got her own family over there and stuff like that. So having to come away from them for a while to be back in England, and then obviously having the emotions of seeing her parents again and her nephew and stuff like that, it's obviously going to be huge for them, and we just got to be able to support them in that. And obviously Jessie's great in that way, and will always support every single player in any attribute. They can just go to her and ask. So yeah, it's not just netball, it's everything around it.
Yeah, definitely. And going back to the Jamaica Test series, I think one of the biggest takeaways that we had from the series as a spectator was the physicality of the game. There are a number of times where I think you could argue that Jamaica lacked discipline sort of throughout the court, and there are quite a number of cautions and warnings that were given out across the 3 games. We also heard after the second game from Connie Francis, the Jamaica head coach, and I quote, "The inconsistency of umpires is really not looking good. We never seem to have the opportunity to go out there and play to our ability. There were heaps of contact in the circle, heaps of contact against our defending team. It's important for us to be given the chance to play netball." So it was a really interesting quote. And, as a shooter who is in that defensive circle that she's specifically referencing, what were your thoughts on her comments?
To be honest with you, I didn't actually watch the interview purely because we had a game the next day and I was exhausted, and we had to focus on other things. So that's the first time I've heard. I knew something had gone down because there was a bit of around the camp, but it is interesting to hear that, because it is so different to that. Like there's always going to be contest. That's just the game of netball, and I think everyone's always shocked with the physicality, especially in the circles. And obviously when I'm in there, I feel like I just take the hits, and I'm not a shooter who will necessarily fall over or succumb to the hits. So that's probably why it looks a lot worse as well. But whenever we play against Jamaica, it's always going to be like that. They're great athletes. They're incredibly powerful. So you're always going to get in that tussle, and whoever's winning the tussle, it's going to go the other way. Like it's just what it is. And I think obviously the umpires, I will never argue with it, like say the umpires are good, they're bad. It's just what they are on the day. And obviously they could miss a few calls, but they could miss a few calls for the other team as well. So it's just, you just got to play the game, and get on with it, really. Just smile and just get on, just try and shoot some goals.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I don't know, it's definitely worth going back to watch it when you get a chance, because Tracy made some really interesting comments after it. So yeah, definitely give it a watch if you can. But we saw as well that battle between yourself and Shamira Sterling was well and truly ignited, particularly in that second game where I saw it on the replay. She did give you a bit of a shove after you scored a goal. So how do you handle not only the intense physical battle that's on court, but also the psychological battle that kind of sits hand in hand with it?
Yeah, well, that's not the first time it's happened, so I've had experience of it before. Do you know what? I just thrive off that. I know if a defender isn't reacting to me in that way, I'm winning the battle. And I just thrive off it. I'll just build my performance off that and just smile and make it a bit of a joke, because then I know I'm in good spirits and my confidence is just going to build from there. So yeah, just got to take it in your hand and just go for it, go with it, just don't react. The worst thing you can probably do is actually react in that situation, because then obviously the umpires will get more involved and you don't want to get any attacking contacts, and you don't want to get any warnings or anything like that. So yeah, just take it on the chin and go with it. That's all I would say. Smile and wave. That's all I would say.
Yeah. Grin and bear it. Yeah. So you spoke a little bit earlier about the build up to the test series in the Roses camp, and you actually had a little bit of time together, which was great. Can you tell us a bit more about, what goes on in the Roses camp? Like, how often do the P1 athletes train together? What's the ratio between match play, strength and conditioning, video analysis? Like, talk us through a day in the life of Ellie at a Roses camp.
Obviously Roses camp goes 4 days a week, the majority of the time. A lot of the time we're in Loughborough, so we'll drive down to Loughborough. We'll have at least like one technical a day, so that could be anything from 1 hour to 2 hours, or even 2.5. And obviously in that session we're doing whatever Jess thinks is necessary for that day. So a lot of it could be through court, centre passes. Sundays when it's our session, we just do shooting specific, or linking up with the feeders and trying to do some specific stuff in the circle that we need to work on. We'll do weights a few times. I tend to do like 45 minutes of weights and then a 20-minute conditioning hit straight after weights, just so I get the extra bit, because I always need a bit more conditioning. It's not my favourite type of training, but it's got to be done. And just do some video in and around the sessions. Look, probably, so leading up into Jamaica, obviously, would look at more at Jamaica and try and link that to the session. So say if we have a 3-court session, we'll look at some 3-court clips and how we can either stop them or how we can get through them. And there'll just be other meetings going on around that, like, I don't know, some nutrition meetings, some leadership meetings, like talking as a team, to the leadership team, like what we want more from the coaches and stuff like that. And apart from that, just chilling in our rooms and chilling out as a team, playing keepy uppy and board games and getting some well-earned rest.
Oh, I love that. Oh, that's great to get that sort of level of insight, because I don't think there's probably a lot of speculation around like what happens in camp and sort of how much time you spend together, because we don't really know an awful lot about it. There's not a lot that's sort of public knowledge. So that's really interesting. And so looking at the Roses sort of as a whole unit, what do you feel are the key strengths of the Roses at the moment? Obviously, you're coming off the back of 2 test series wins, so there's a lot of good stuff happening. But what do you think are the key strengths?
I think our number one strength is that we are a big family. We really, really care about each other. Like, every single person on that team, consider them as family, and any issues that they have, it's like an issue of your own, and you thrive off every single success that each of them has. And I think that's a really good attribute to have as a team. And I think in all the years that I've been in it, it's probably the strongest we have been together as a whole unit, no matter if you're one of the youngsters in the squad or if you're one of the oldies. Everyone just feels super, super connected all the time. And then I think our other strength is our versatility. We have so many different strengths in this squad, like going from Fumi, who is a young star. She is incredible. Like, when we train against her, I'm like, oh, her arms again, like all the time. It's an absolute menace. But then going to someone like George Fisher, who's also quite young, but she's a great holder. Someone to Laura Malcolm, who is a great leader on the court, can play so many different positions, and is super, super strong and has such a good head on her. Like everyone has, I could probably name like everybody a different attribute that they bring to the team. And I think that's just made it super hard for Jess to pick a team. And she just knows everyone deserves that spot, and everyone can do super well against number one in the world. And obviously that is great to have as a team, because the competition that we have each and every single day at training is ridiculous. We were saying in this tour, our training was so hard. It was actually harder than the matches. Like we trained so hard that it was like okay, this is netball. This is all right.
Yeah, we can do this.
We can do this. So it's super competitive, and that's just a great place to be in, I think, as a team.
Yeah, 100%. And you're exactly right. Like there is so much depth now within this England squad that I would argue we've never ever had before. So given the depth that we now have, squad selection is hands down the biggest talking point in the world of netball and on social media and all of that. So with Com Games around the corner, how much does selection or non-selection play on your mind as a player?
I think it's always playing on your mind. For me, I didn't make the last Commonwealth Games squad, and I probably knew in my head that I wasn't going to make it, but I was still super upset. And from then, I've made it my mission to just train super hard and put myself the best way to put myself forward for that selection. I think it is playing on your mind. Like you're in your Super League and you're like, okay, all the selectors, Jess is watching all these games. It is a little bit in the back of your head, but at the end of the day, you've got a job, and you know whatever team does go to the Commonwealth Games or the World Cup, that's the team that deserves it. And as I said, you're just going to celebrate those players who get in there. It'll also be hard if you don't get picked, but you got to be there for your team. Like you could be selected as a training partner, and you still got to go out there and do a job for the team and try and get them over the finish line. So yeah, it does play in your mind, but that is sport at the end of the day. That's just the nature of it. It's always going to happen. You're going to have it in whatever level you're playing at, whether you're at club and like say for instance, Blackpool Netball Club, my very first team. Remember my very first netball match, I didn't get picked, and I still tell the coach to this day that she didn't pick me. So that's happening. It's happening so much, and yeah, I think everyone can relate to that. So yeah.
Yeah, the brutality of elite sport. I'll say it over and over again. It is just absolutely brutal. But I think, you've hit the nail on the head in that whether you're a training partner, whether you're just part of the wider Roses program, like you still have a job to play, and all of your efforts up until that point of squad selection, you've been a part of helping to make everyone else better by pushing each other more and more and more. So you might not get selected, but the victories that come off of the back of that squad selection, you're still a part of because you've been a part of that history. So yeah, I think that's really key. And like you touched on the versatility thing. We've seen over the last year this move out to goal attack from you, which is great, and sort of adding that extra string to your bow. Was this something that was requested of you by Manchester Thunder or the Roses, or is it just something that you consciously wanted to add to your game?
I actually can't remember, I can't remember the specific point where I was like, I need to play some goal attack. It's probably, to be fair, I was at 7 Stars, I was playing majority goal shooter. And when I made my move back to Manchester Thunder, I think how I was going to get any match play, because I remember I didn't really play in that first year when I went back to Manchester Thunder, and because it was Catherine Turner and Joyce Mavula playing there. So I knew if I wanted to get any court time, I would have to do both. So I could offer, if they wanted to put me on a goal shooter, I could go on there and play with Catherine, or if Joyce was having a solid game, I'd then have the opportunity to go and goal attack if I was needed. So I think it really started from there, and then obviously having conversations with Jess about whether I have the capability of offering a goal attack game. I think it was definitely pushed from there to just try and up that. And I've had a few caps of it now, playing goal attack for England. I think I did it at Nations Cup against Jamaica. So yeah, it's just anything that I can add to to my game, really, I will try my best to do. And I think it has been great for my game smarts to play goal attack and trying to see the game in a different way. I've really, really enjoyed it. It's been a lot harder because obviously a lot more running involved, but I've loved the challenge, and obviously now I'm goal attack really for Thunder. So yeah, it's been a bit of fun and a bit and hard, but it's been great.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's awesome. Like, you know, you want to better yourself, so you look at what you previously offered and what you could offer, and you've just worked damn hard to get yourself there. So, you know, I think that's absolutely commendable. And the fact that you're now, you know, you are good enough to do that on an international level, like it's just incredible. So yeah, I think it's really commendable. So well done. We've spoken about the key strengths of the Roses squad, but what do you think are the squad's key areas of growth between now and the Commonwealth Games?
Our growth is probably still building those connections that we have, as in on the court, because obviously we've got the new people coming in. When Jiva comes back, building her back in, say if Razia Kwashi, she gets fit again, building her back in. It's constantly building them connections on the court, and probably reducing our error rate. We do make a fair few errors, and we just need to get better at that, making less unforced errors. So yeah, that's probably our key work-ons, I would say, just going forward. And obviously you can always improve in every single, like whether it's centre passes, through court defence, we're always working on that. So, and we're always looking for the minimum, the little margins that you can make to beat world number 1, world number 2. So.
Yeah, those little 1%ers. Yeah, that's great. I'm very conscious I've already taken up almost half an hour of your time, so I'll just ask one more question. I found it really interesting when the Vitality Netball Super League squads were announced for Thunder this year that you had actually signed for 2 years as opposed to 1. If you're a Thunder fan, you might want to close your ears right now, but I was kind of secretly hoping that we would see you out in Suncorp Super Netball either this year or next year, because you're just such an incredible shooter and a long range specialist. And obviously with the dreaded super shots, dare I mention it, you would have been just so incredible out there. So is this an ambition of yours at all? Like what are your personal goals or aspirations for the next sort of 5 years or so?
Obviously, it is a hard one, because I'm all about someone who wants balance in their life. So a few years ago, I just did solely netball, and it got way too much for me. I was just netball overload, going crazy in my room because I didn't have anything else to do but netball. So I'm someone who needs balance and who needs support around me. So I need family around me. I need my boyfriend around me. We've just got a house together, so we've just, you know what I mean? I need that balance. So I think for the past 2 years anyway, COVID has been a massive barrier, because I wouldn't be able to take, say, my partner over there, and I wouldn't be able to have that support that I would need around the netball. So yeah, I think it would be something I would consider, and I've had these conversations with people before. It would be something I would consider, but it'd have to be right for me, and I would have to feel comfortable in that. And obviously the team would also have to just support me in that way. So yeah, it's not necessarily something that I'm like, if I get the opportunity, I'm out there straight away. I've got so much more to consider. And also I've got a job, I'm a teacher, so also that to consider, because I really, really enjoy teaching at the minute. Just have to see where it goes and where life takes me. If it happens, it happens. But yeah, I love Manchester Thunder. It really is like another family. I've played for them since I was in 2011 maybe.
Wow.
2012. So yeah, I love the whole club and everyone around it, and I can safely say Thunder, like, I will be with them for many years. So yeah, it's just we'll see.
Yeah. Oh, well, the term netball family exists for a reason, you know, so it's great that you have not only your Roses family but your Thunder family as well. Well, Ellie, it's been such a pleasure chatting to you. Thank you so much for your time, and very much looking forward to watching you at the Rise Again Festival this weekend. I'm assuming you'll be playing.
Yes, I'll be there. I will be there, definitely.
Amazing. Oh, well, all the best of luck, and thank you so much for coming on.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to this extra special bonus episode of Quarter Time Podcast.
Don't forget to follow us on social media at Quarter Time Pod. And of course, don't forget about the quad series coming up in January. We will absolutely see you there, and get in touch and let us know if you're going to go.
For sure. And we have a special announcement coming up very soon. So stay tuned on social media for that. Thank you to everyone who came along to our Twitter space this week. It was really great to chat to all of you guys. And of course, hope everyone's enjoying the Rise Again Festival too.
Our next episode will be in January 2022. So that is us done for this year. Hope you all have a great festive break, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.